So, thank you. So, sorry for this morning. I was waking up. I had a flight from Chicago, so now I'm actually well seated to actually tackle this topic, which is on AI and how this change, how we build content. So I see your preparation of questions. We are going to do that my way, which means we're totally improvising. And I'm going to just start with I think you have a word cloud, right? I still need to read the question. Do we do that? Do we do the word cloud thing? Yeah, on Slido? If not, we'll see. But the question was, describe your biggest pain when you hear content or modular content in pharma. What is the one word that you feel? I don't know if you have the Slido, if you can. And while you are loading this, yes, this is a question. I was reading something that the last few weeks we saw more AI-generated content on Google than organic made by human content on Google, which is quite a change. So I don't have the exact reference, but it was a Google Search Console thing. I will start, and then I will pass the ball, I think, from that end. Modular content for me, when I pitched it in my other pharma companies, was more work for marketers, more work for medical, and they didn't like it. They were basically saying, yeah, it's just I need to check the box, get my bonus. What the hell, Haider, are you coming with those crazy ideas? Do you feel the same way, or has it changed with AI?
Me personally, I think that it's changed. I mean, obviously, I think we all want to do more personalization. We all want to do more content. And I think AI is, of course, a great tool for that. And then using modular content like Lego bricks has always been the sort of goal. And I think we're getting very close to that. And I see that means that we can make more content. We can take stuff from previous campaigns, stuff from previous content, stuff that's been already MLR approved, and start to build on top of that instead of building again and again and again, new. So I think I'm still a big fan of it. I know it's a little bit maybe not a shiny new tool anymore, but I still think it's a massive goal for everybody.
You feel the same way?
Absolutely, I do believe so. I was quite interested to see the cloud and what the audience has pulled in. So again, today we see that we have commonalities, right? So I do believe that modular content, when it's fit for a purpose, it's really helping. Probably and it's not the shiny, fancy, new thing, but I believe it allows variations and it has allowed flexibility. I would like to just quickly provide an example of an experience of why I'm saying this. In a space, in a particular region, because part of my responsibility, and here my opinions are my own, sorry, I need to give the disclaimer. So in a space from global to local, where we needed to enable many countries on content, you would say, so what? Well, imagine for a second a space where there's no people visiting the doctors, there is no budget. Nevertheless, an important part of the sales are in this type of products. So how do you enable a certain contact and to be there? So by working together with the region on this pain point of the need to be present and keeping some share of voice, what we did is we created a library of claims. This was an experiment with the mysterious guys from the region, with the teams in the region. So group of claims, a library of content blocks. It was like 3-4 years ago, not really modules, but content blocks. And of course, then we gather all the affiliates, compliance part, and we review the BIVA flows to make it easier. So we run that from global to local to more than 10 countries, where otherwise we couldn't have been able to do this. The time that we reduced like 80% of the time of production of this to arrive to more than 10 countries where no one else would have arrived, 10,000 doctors. Just keep in mind that internal capabilities, not budget. So modular content did the trick. Of course, AI needs to be embedded, so it will fly beyond. But I think when you have a base, you sort of reimagine and redesign a base that is sufficient. For me, I would advocate for modular content in a space where it's fit for purpose.
So it does do more with less, it helps the productivity.
I think so.
Yeah. And you feel the same way?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, we've been working with modular content for a couple of years now, and I really believe in the promise. I think a mistake that a lot of organizations made when this first came in was just straight away jumping into it, maybe not looking into what could be your prerequisites. You're ready enough to go into this, you're digital enough, because this was digitalizing from your imagery to your text to your claims, everything has to be first digitalized. And I think with AI, this first creation and then localization can be helped. And we see this from tagging of content within modules to dynamic assembly. I think AI can plug the gap and make this still the shiny thing that we were chasing.
That's good. And finally,
yes.
You can comment.
So from being one of the content creators, not the one setting systems, I would love the idea. I love the idea. I don't think I'm using it yet as I could. Many questions coming back to what Mubasher just said, but it's lovely, right? The idea of having something, you plug it together, you get lots of feedback, you know exactly which part doesn't work, what works, instead of just one email. I love the idea, but I don't think I'm using it yet as I could, or we are using it yet as we could.
So now we are going to take them on a non-prepared trip, okay? So I do have genuine questions, and I would like you guys to help us answer that. I've seen different use cases when people in the pharmaceutical, especially commercial ops, created content and looking at AI like a shiny object in the room, right? First one was a slide clinic, right? The idea of I do my slides, I don't have time, or my speakers, you know, for a symposium, they don't have time, and we don't want to pay an agency again to do it. So can we have an AI that can actually come, respect the template, and make it pixel perfect and just showcase if there is a deviation from compliance? So that's case number one. I'd love to see if you see it as well, and if you believe this is going to scale. Case number two, scientific affairs. They're basically saying, I want to have a digital twin of myself in Microsoft Teams that can actually talk to everyone, because I don't have time to talk to everyone, and I need to write those position papers. I don't know if this is something you guys do, but basically writing position papers so that they can say, for this particular efficacy, safety endpoints, that's the way we talk, that's the way we will communicate. So they love to have a bot that can scale. So case number two. Case number three, it's basically, I will come back on your point, is content modularity, but different type of content. Taking a PDF, turn it into a podcast, you know, like that kind of thing. And that is basically a demand that I see often. Often the problem is a distribution channel that is not synchronized. But at least from a content creation, there is the appetite. So who wants to jump on those three cases, and who sees it as a potential scalable case? You want to start?
Yeah, maybe I'll start on the last one, the podcast. Yeah. I mean, okay, so my agency, we create a ton of content for different pharma brands, and everything from podcasts to emails to social content. And often, obviously, the platform matters, right? The actual delivery, like if we want to go back to Marshall McLuhan, you know, the medium is the message. And it is sometimes difficult to take stuff that was made for one purpose and bring it over to the next without some serious considerations. AI can do a lot of that, which I love, like bringing in, like, okay, what is the red thread of how to create great podcast scripts, and then help you guys produce all that kind of stuff. There still needs to be a human that has reviewed what is actually great in podcasting right now to actually make something of value versus just putting stuff out that is consumed by no one, right, basically. So I still think that AI can solve part of the way. It won't be able to produce it in a sense of like actually being something relevant, and we talk about relevancy quite a bit now, but just checking a box, yes, we did that, which I don't think is a good strategy, it will do it. But if you want to do something great, which I think all of us do because we want to be better than our competitors, we're going to need us to be tastemakers, to say what is actually good here with this email, what is good here with this podcast, what is good here with this social campaign, and actually put our own critical thinking into it.
Human in the loop, okay?
Yes,
Out of the three scenarios, which one do you see happening the fastest?
Probably building on what Chris has just said, a little bit of variation on that, not a podcast probably. But definitely, I do believe that AI is something that will help us amplify the human knowledge. It's not a mean. It's a mean to get somewhere, it's not the end. So I believe that what we want, and we have heard it in the last 2 days, we really need to make this change and understand, again, what the customers need, the creative way to deliver that. So if there is a tool, a way that AI will help me simplify the slides, for example, for a presentation, which is relatively repetitive, but then a human layer needs to come in, understand that it's also proper for the audience that we want to talk to, and how is it going to resonate. So I believe that's definitely something to be used as a tool. A Gen AI powered tool is always useful for productivity, but I always go back to the purpose. What is it that we want to achieve? And at the end, I think many of us wake up every day because we care for patients and we want to be there for them. So how do we make it easier for an HCP to understand and to give this content in the best way? So, yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, so how do we create effective and compliant content, right? And I think here there's a mindset that comes at play as well. I think fear of being non-compliant, I think that's something that you have to manage, but how can AI help? You can create sort of a sandbox where you can set the rules, right? So the data can remain consistent. This is your dimensions and setting the guardrails, right? And let AI play in that domain. And also feed in to make it more relevant to your customers. I think what's very important is the profiling information for your customers, right? Which segment are you targeting? And I think if you plug all that in, and maybe to add one thing, that let AI also, another maybe engine that scrutinizes the first output, right? So I think at the end of the day, you come up with something that is within the compliant boundaries. It's relevant. And again, you don't need to create from the beginning channel ready. So you have to start with what's your key message. And then as you're designing that, then you can maybe later on add which channel it's going to be. Because if you start beginning, maybe it's not going to work.
So on this, I've seen, I don't know if they are here, but I've seen a company, Edward Life Science, just to name them, doing something very interesting. They create a claim matrix. And from the get-go, the claim matrix is already prepared for different channels, like even a Google ad. I mean, they do Google ad, okay? Yeah. But basically, you have really like one document, a master document that is super boring to do. Yeah. And the thing is, this document has two needs anyway. One is to synchronize marketing, compliance, legal, everyone. With a scientific affairs team, but for kind of building a police bot on deviating from that compliance document. So that if your agency, for example, in Australia, not because you have a hat, I'm not saying that, but they basically say, oh, we want to just optimize my campaign and change something, the bot can say, oh, you cannot derive from X% from that reference. So that's basically is an interesting way where we are preparing ourselves onto that. But why I'm saying this, because I'm looking at the screen what we had before the Slido, and we had a lot of people saying approvals, MLR approvals, overloads MLR, localization. So it seems that while there is an appetite from humans to help me create great content, beautiful content, delightful content, the other humans in the room are saying, help me ditch, the boring job of doing MLRs. And can AI do something? I'm using you basically just to shift subject, but can you help?
But isn't that strange? Because, our regulations are known, right? They're written down. We know the codes, we know the rules, right? We know the box we want to play with. We know our core claims. It depends what we feed AI, And I think it can help us enormously. It's not a barrier, it could be an enabler, right? If you say, these are our rules, these are the scope we want to have, fit it in and create that content. I think it could help massively, right? And we can, as a company, choose, do we take 0 risks? Then, that's the box. We take a bit of risk. We can enlarge it. So I think we should definitely use it as something that can help us, right? And that, compliance regulation is really, I think it's an old excuse we used to.
I feel the regulatory bot is not something that is going super popular if we start building those police bots, that tells you can't do this, you can't do that.
But I think you need it. So I was having a talk with, I forget her name, from Viva yesterday, because I think it's an important topic here, because obviously I see a content tsunami coming, right? I think we all do, right? Like, how many of us see more content coming? Way more content. So what's the downstream effect of that? So much MLR. We're talking about mountains of MLR. So we need to already be preparing that downstream, but we're all talking about upstream right now. And I think that's a big, big thing that I think all of us can maybe take from this is go, okay, what are we building downstream from MLR? Because we're all talking about content generation, personalization, all that kind of stuff. But I'm like looking at the other thing going, we're never going to get any of this content through because MLR is going to be backed up for years. So we need to actually start working downstream and fix that before we open the floodgates. So to use so many water analogies here, but...
No, but it's a good point.
Yeah.
Because what I hear from you is basically modular content means more data to have, to know what to modulate on and where to send it.
But not even modular. I mean, all content
Yeah, all
creation.
content.
Like, it could be modular, could be brand new stuff.
Could be A/B testing, right?
Yeah, it could be everything.
Just everything. But I hear we need data to understand where we stream it if we start personalize it. And I hear volume, because we have way more content to produce, which, by the way, I have not seen yet a delightful social media platform from pharma, right? So like Instagram. And Instagram is saying you need to post 2 times per day, 2 reels per day, right? To basically on the
and ideally
algorithm.
also with Meta Andromeda, you're going even more on the content variation side. They basically just told us, like, we need more, and not just, I know Mubasher talked about, like, a key message, and then porting that out to sort of all your stuff. That's going away very quickly.
So that's the symptoms, right? So we are basically describing the need, the unmet need, and the problem. Are we there? Are we now in 2025, nearly 2026, in a world where we can say, yeah, we are stepping into a new frontier, we're doing it? Do you have examples?
Well, I would say we are not there yet, or at least many companies we're not there yet. And an element that I wanted also to plug in on what you just said is, yes, there's a lot of content coming out. And we also need to be mindful of what the HCPs are perceiving from that and from this trust in the pharma sources. No? So there's one part. And also, how are we reflecting or measuring the content effectiveness of what we take out? Are we having this loop of... And probably, yes, of course, we need an agent, right? With an agent to have this real data and the performance of the content to understand, okay, I keep on using that. These variations resonate in these personas, these not. So I think that ingredient, it's still also something we need to do. Test, iterate based on those learnings. So I think any workflow should be including that, because there's a real risk on, we will be faster on personalizing, but are we really measuring the quality of what we are doing outside? And is there a recall over there? Is there really something that is helping us to forge stronger relationships with the content that we provide? So I believe that it's foundations. Yeah, maybe a cornerstone is the
That's
trust that we need to go back to.
Yeah, that's a good point. Recently we had an example of a pharma company ordering to do a video training out of an SOP. Right, the SOP was boring to read, so they said, let's do Gen AI and do a video. Yeah. And the video was so good that management in the US said, it could be deepfake, right? We are scared, so let's stop it. But the video was so, I have it on my phone, so if you want to see it, I can show it to you. But the video was so good that people said, we're not going into that direction. So we had to cartoon the video to really showcase it was not real people, right? And there is this kind of rejection from AI sometimes where lack of authenticity and lack of context could also determine bad engagement. Do you agree in what you're seeing?
No, absolutely. I think so for instance, I think one thing which we have to maybe be careful about is not generate tons of content just for the sake of it, right? Because then what you're doing at the other end is just creating a lot of workload on the other teams that are managing it. So to be honest, I see that you have to do incremental updates within your process. And it's not the same for all the organizations. So every organization has to come to that digital path. And for instance, I can give you a couple of examples. So we started with content tagging using AI. Very good use case. We're working on, I think some of the previous panelists mentioned, I don't want to review language or grammar stuff, right? So these kind of things you can bring in, and I think that can alleviate some of that fear that is in the organizations, that is very much associated with first AI, and then also I think within our internal legal teams, I think the outside regulators are, as Nina mentioned, they're predictable, the rules are set, they're not going to change, and they're also even relieving it a bit. But if you see, we are within our own organizations, our legal teams are maybe even setting a standard too restrictive. And I think that mindset shift has to happen. I would assume that in these kind of sessions, the more MLR and marketing teams, if they could join, I think somebody was mentioning yesterday, would really be helpful. And I think mindset, and then start slow with bringing AI into automation and smaller things. I mean, you don't need to straight away jump into creating a full final asset that has been created with AI. I mean, you will have these videos, amazing. Do some profiling images, advertisement images with AI. I mean, these smaller use cases, they build together and create the bigger picture.
I just want to know if you have question do you keep no question? Okay, fair enough. We have 4 minutes. So I just wanted to understand, how do you implement this? So if you're all from a mindset perspective, you're fine, you want to do it. Are you bootstrapping it? Are you basically having, like, I don't know if there are some Sanofi people in the room, but Sanofi saying we'll do it ourselves, we'll bootstrap it and test. Are you renting or buying the tech, into a partner, working with IT and your partners? Or basically are you building your own data team and really building it like banks did, for years, like building their own capabilities? So maybe you want to help us understand how you tackle this?
Yep. Again, being on a content site, I'm not buying or building anything. I'm using what people buy or build, and think at UCB we do a mix of that. At the moment, it's a lot of getting knowledge in to play, to see what agencies now trying their experience, which helps, because then like this we gain experience, right? And I think we also, talking about mentality, we bring all the colleagues on board, right? Talking about legal, regulatory, it's good that they hear, and I mean, if we are not experts in something, let's bring that in, right? That knowledge in. So I think we are at the stage when we try that, right? We're trying to get partners that use AI, whether for content creation, whether for analysis, feedback loop, right? That we don't talk enough about, and try to do that and see how it is. But it's all on a pilot stage, right? Sure. Escalation is what would be the next, and is what was the topic so often.
Yeah. If I may add to that, I think again it's no one size fits all. Depending, I mean, Sanofi with their big team, and I think if you have big enough team that you can start experimenting in-house, that's a resource that's going to help you. Maybe you're not starting ahead of everybody else, but you're building in-house resources. But for some other companies, it would be, so there are, and depending on the use case, there are use cases where out of the box, because for instance, PromoMats or these other content management systems, they are coming with out of the box technologies. Some of the use cases may fit. Sometimes you have to go to external vendors and get that. And then I would suggest, I mean, not to completely rule out in-house, but it depends on the use case, it depends on the organization.
Makes sense. Do you have a view on this? Obviously, you are basically living the transformation.
I'm in the mad laboratory with my team every day. Like, we're not regulated the same way you guys are. Yeah. So we get to experience a little bit of the scary shit that's coming.
Which is interesting, because some pharma companies actually use agencies to experiment more and more.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's a good method, so call me. But I think that's a good method because we do get to play with the fun stuff and see what is coming down the line. And that obviously gives us somewhat of an advantage. But at the same time, I really think that you guys all have lives outside of your offices. There's nothing stopping you from signing up for the latest Chinese model of X video generation data, website, web app building AI tool, and going and playing in the laboratory just the same as we do. Just don't do it on your VPN, and don't do it with with any internal data. Do it with your own data and go have fun. I mean, if I could give anybody that sort of advice, is don't wait for your pharma company to give you access to a tool. That's a very bad strategy. I would go home every night and be playing with whatever I saw and being on TikTok and seeing what all the different people are messing around with, and then go and experiment, right? So that's where I'm at with it, and I think that's, that allows me some ability to do cool stuff, but I think you guys all have that same ability. We're not lacking any of that,
No,
right?
for sure. Looking at the time, so last question, just one word. If you were to start from scratch in an AI-first world, what will you not do if you were to build content in the pharma industry?
Shut it down. Just turn off, unplug the AI.
And you?
No one size fits all anymore.
No size
Many
fit, yeah.
words, but that's
Yeah,
the idea.
all right.
Yeah, one word, don't create big channel-ready assets.
Okay.
Start small.
And yourself?
Very similar, no CVAs of
Thank you.
50 pages.